Hello and welcome to the Build with Baer Workshop. My name is Pat Baer. I'm here to build a model kit. I'm also here to hang out with all of you. And I'm going to start things off by throwing the Bear Cave, the Lego, the Scythe, the Tier 2 blue emote in the chat. If you are currently a subscriber, you can reply with those emotes. If you are not yet a subscriber, you can say hi. You can use other people's emotes. If you feel like being a lurker, you just go ahead and lurk. That's also okay. We are currently at 23 subscribers. The goal is to get to 40. I will shut up about how many subscribers I have when we hit 40. So if you would like me to shut up about subscribers, subscribe or gift a sub, be the first person to gift a sub this month. That would be nice too. You could do that if you wanted to. It is a Thursday. I've got a model kit. I'm working on the Shining Gundam Master Grade. Hello, Lashbrook. And I will be continuing to work on it. I have done the arms. I have done one of the legs. I'm about to finish to other leg. I have done, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws. I think I have applied 10 screws, and I think there's only one more. I believe that where the waist and the chest meet, there is one more screw, I think. Lord Crashton is here saying, hey, Pat, we hit 90 degrees today. Oof, yeah. Today was actually kind of nice. It cooled off a little bit, but it's still in the high 80s, and it was in the low 90s earlier in the week, and it sucks. I went out and I raked some leaves, and then you got the push broom out for the driveway, and it was hot, and I did not enjoy it. Not at all. I was wearing a shirt with its sleeves ripped off, if you can fucking imagine it, because unfortunately, and I might sew it. I might cut out a patch and sew it onto a long sleeve shirt or something like that. My Young Bucks knockoff T-shirt. I mean, Bullet Club. It's a Bullet Club, but it was the Young Bucks version of the Bullet Club shirt. My League of Heels knockoff shirt that was a official League shirt, but it was clearly a knockoff. We got a company in Boston to do it. That shirt, the sleeves are completely gone, just falling apart. So I cut the sleeves off, and now I have a sleeve shirt that I was using, and now it's just my workout shirt. And it's a bummer because I love that shirt. It said video games on it instead of Bullet Club. It looks very cool. People who didn't know what we were liked the look of it, and we sold a bunch of shirts just because it was good. I sold a bunch of those shirts at the PAX Unplugged, just because PAX Unplugged had a lot of nerds that were looking at it going, oh, okay, I'll get that. So, yeah. Speaking of wrestling, let's just fucking start with it. Today, a legend passed away. And that's the nicest thing I'll say. Hulk Hogan was famous for being a pro wrestler. Yes, Chuck Mangione, star of music and television, Chuck Mangione, because he was in the King of the Hill. So technically you could say that he was a TV actor, although not really. But yeah, Hulk Hogan, star of terrible movies and pretty good wrestling shows, has passed away. Hulkamania is dead. It died. Let's be real. Hulkamania died 10 years ago, when he successfully sued and thus completely destroyed Gawker. Yes, Lashbrook. I saw Paul F. Tompkins make this joke as well. Celebrity deaths are in threes. Ozzy Osbourne, Malcolm Jamal Warner, and Chuck Mangione, and absolutely no one else is what he said. And then he had to go and make that post so that people couldn't comment because people were not getting the joke and saying Hulk Hogan also died though, and not understanding that he was being a comedian, because he is one. Now, if people don't understand that I'm joking, I am a comedy person, but I don't work in comedy these days. I work in talking about anime and streaming. Yes, I will say that. If the videos that do the best on my YouTube are about anime, are me talking or recommending anime, I am an anime influencer, and also someone that on occasion talks about other things. But I am an anime influencer and a model kit builder on Twitch. Those are true statements. I am not lying to you when I say those things. Anyway, if I make a joke, sometimes people don't get that I'm joking. But when Paul F. Tompkins writes a thing, it should be treated like a joke because he's a comedian. But it's not always. People are sometimes just off. Anyway, Hulk Hogan died. 10 years ago today, the court case ended where he won his suit against Gawker Media, thus changing the face of journalism forever, enabling, encouraging a monster who would have been a monster no matter what to continue to put his money where his shit views were, and also officially ended the legacy of Hulk Hogan. There would always be at best an asterisk. Even if the tapes leading into that should have ruined him forever, they really didn't. It really was the lawsuit more than anything else. Yes, Lashbrook, like legitimately. Yep. Hulk Hogan was suffering from an illness for quite some time and complications from surgery. And then he did pass away today from a massive cardiac arrest. Depending on who you listen to, he either died in his own house because paramedics were unable to resuscitate him, but he was pronounced dead at a hospital in Clearwater, Florida. But there are some different conversations about that. And yeah, I mean, like, what's there to say that I haven't already laughed about today? But Hulk Hogan changed the face of professional wrestling. Hulkamania was a thing. It is downplayed by some people, saying that someone else would have passed the torch, that would have picked up the torch and ran with it, or that, that it was the way wrestling was going. And I am not trying to big up the man. I am merely stating that it is ridiculous to think that wrestling would be where it is without him. Because the biggest name in wrestling almost died when they didn't have him around anymore. They had to take out loans. It was rough for the WWF without him. It was natural that it would be, because everything is peaks and valleys, but that one was particularly tough. But also, he fucking sucks, and I am not going to pretend that he doesn't suck, that he wasn't a racist, that he wasn't a union buster, that he wasn't just a bad person, a selfish, terrible person. This is a great time for a raid. Hello. Welcome, the Jaeger bomb. The Jaeger bomb. Welcome. I was like, the Jaeger bomb. Welcome, raiders. Hello. It's a Jaeger raid. Excellent. For those that don't know me, which is probably most of y'all, I'm Pat Baer. I build model kits. I'm currently working on the master grade version of the Shining Gundam from G Gundam. And you might be asking yourself, Pat, why would you be working on that? Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Why would you be working on that kit? It's very old. This is a reissue of a kit from 2002. Because 8 years ago in a couple days, I started working on this model kit on my very first stream. That's right. I'm in my 9th year of streaming. I started in 2017. But yeah, this was the very first kit I picked up because I wanted to get back into model kit building. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. I wanted to get back into model kit building. I hadn't done it in a very long time. And I got in my head that I wanted to build a kit that I hadn't built before. Because when I was building model kits in the 90s, I was building just high grades and high grades and a couple master grades from the old from Gundam Wing, but I had never built a master grade from G Gundam. So this was the first kit that I worked on back at that time, and it's a great kit. I'm really psyched to be working on it. It's got screws, and that's weird. There are various screws. There's some screws and some nuts for this kit, and that's just a weird thing. That is just a weird, true thing about this particular model kit. This was a period where they were trying to make their master grades more stable because the arms, like the joints, were pretty loose. The master grades, obviously the 1/100 scale, and also they were finding it with the 1/100s. Dirty just resubbed for 71 months. Thank you so much, Dirty. Let me hit the button. Thank you very much. Appreciate you very much, Dirty. If you're currently a subscriber, you can throw the Bear Cave Lego site tier 2 blue emote in chat. Let the people know you got some cool emotes and you're not seeing ads before the stream starts and all that. And you're supporting me, which is great. I mean, just to be honest, it's great. I think it rules. But yeah, so the 1/100 scale kits, like this master grade, they were finding that the polycaps weren't keeping the arms tight or the legs tight, and posability was something they were striving for. So they thought that if joints, like where this foot is or where the leg meets the thigh, had screws, that it would make it more stable. And they're right, except it's just weird. Like, I need this screwdriver to do this model kit. And I won't belabor the anecdote, but on my very first stream, I went Go. I was in an office, a room in an office. I wasn't in my home. And I got the kit opened. I had taken the kit out of the packages. No, I hadn't. I hadn't taken it out of the box. Opened the kit, ready to go right before stream. And then I was confronted with the reality that one of the very first steps involved screws, and so I just skipped the step and moved on to a part of the kit that didn't involve screws. And I was just like, hey, next stream I'll do this. And that was a great lesson to learn on my very first stream, which is if you're starting a new model kit, you should look at the model kit. You should see what you need, if you need anything special or anything like that. And that was a lesson I learned on my very first stream, which was a lesson I should have learned years before when I was building model kits, but didn't. But yeah, you should always, hey, also just in general, not even if you're obviously streaming, but if you're just building a model kit, you should look at the model kit, see if you're like, oh wow, they've got, this kit doesn't have any regular stickers, it's only water slides, or are these dry transfers? What is this kit? Or yeah, like any specialty tools, anything like that. It's good to know that stuff. It will come in handy when you're getting ready to build a kit. Looking at things is overrated. When we got this raid, which is lovely, thank you, by the way, we were talking about Hulk Hogan. If you were unfamiliar, Hulk Hogan died today. If I am the person breaking that news to you, congratulations, you are not terminally online. And that's incredible. That's amazing. If I am the person letting you know that Hulk Hogan died, then you are not on social media. And that's incredible. So congratulations. But if you did know about it, we're talking about it here just to let you know. I'm an old man, so I was a kid in the 80s, and so I was predisposed to think that Hulk Hogan was pretty cool. But I'm also someone that's been around for a good chunk of time, and so I realized that Hulk Hogan was cool. Hulk Hogan was cool 3 different times in my life, and that's a thing that I have to acknowledge. I don't think he's been cool for a very long time, but there were 3 different times where Hulk Hogan was pretty fucking cool. And acknowledging that is not the same thing as putting away his own thoughts, his own actions. The fact that he is just I can say was now, a pathological liar and just made up stuff. The man who accomplished so much in his life still felt the need to lie to make things that he did seem bigger and better. And I don't think that that was on purpose. I think he just had to lie. And that's, that is also part of his legacy. Otherwise, you end up building an SD with multiple tiny stickers, and your friend you warned you not to build it just repeats, told you so. Yes. SD kits. SD kits rely on stickers for all of the parts of a model kit that you think look cool. Those are stickers. So yeah, if you're not ready to apply tiny stickers to a tiny model kit, then yeah, an SD kit might not be the kit for you. That is a lesson to learn. But yeah, 5 stickers on one part throws death. Yeah, yeah, totally. And if you're wondering, Pat, what 3 times was Hulk Hogan super cool? In the 80s, Hulkamania was running wild, and he was on top, and he was the coolest guy. He just was. He just was the coolest. Then, in the mid to late 90s, really the late 90s, he turned heel, and he formed the New World Order. And while he was still kind of hokey. Yes, nice meeting you. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the raid, of course. And folks that came in on the raid, I hope you hang out. We're going to be building a model kit and talking about things and things, and it'll be fun. But yeah, NWO was very cool. They were cool bad guys. It was part of the culture. It was just like the coolest guys were the coolest guys, and also there were some dorks in the lower card. But at the top, he's the third, the hit show Thunder in Paradise. No, Lord Crashington. Thunder in Paradise. That's the only time that Terry Bollea was cool, because that's Terry Bollea playing a character. Because he's not Terry Bollea playing Hulk Hogan playing a character. That's Terry Bollea playing a character. So in my opinion, and that's pretty cool. But as far as Hulkster, there is a lost period, a period that people don't talk too much about. I'm talking about the early 2000s mid-card Hogan. It's an incredible period. It is after the purchase of WCW by the WWF, that WWE, I should say. It is after the invasion has died down, after the failed NWO has happened. Hulk Hogan is just available, and they bring Hulk Hogan in, and Hulk Hogan has a tag run with Edge. He makes fun of himself. He acknowledges that he's going bald or has gone bald. He is fun and likable and humble. He gets an incredible he gets such an incredible reaction in Canada that they give him the title. And then he loses the belt to Brock Lesnar. He gets decimated by Brock Lesnar, who is in his first year of professional wrestling and is the young hotshot. And Hogan does the favors. Hulk Hogan, the man who coined the term, "That doesn't work for me, brother." The thing you say in wrestling, or when talking about wrestling, when something obviously got politicked backstage, that's because of Hulk Hogan. But he lost clean and got decimated by the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. It was an unbelievable period. Now, did he ruin it by thinking that he should get a rematch and beat Brock? Of course. Hogan could only be cool for so long. He did ruin it. The Mr. America, the wrestling, the masked gimmick with him isn't bad. It's part of that period. I would call it part of mid-card Hogan, because he is doing a comedy gimmick. And he is just dealing with Vince McMahon. He's nowhere near a title, and so that's better. But that period is often not discussed because it was short and it was in a period where some folks weren't really watching wrestling. It was in a rebuilding period. Even though those SmackDowns, incredible. It's this weird thing that happened in WWE where gates went, when they didn't have competition, when wrestling wasn't hot anymore, gates went down, stars got injured, they had two brands, Raw and SmackDown, a bunch of young people on SmackDown, and their solution to low attendance was try to make new stars. And it worked, but the new stars they were making were really good wrestlers. And it was this incredible thing where you had like Kurt Angle putting on clinics. They gave Kurt Angle a posse, and his posse were collegiate athletes who were great wrestlers and great professional wrestlers. And that was just unbelievable to see. And they brought in, they let Eddie and Chavo Guerrero do tag matches, and they were incredible. They had, obviously, garbage man, but skilled professional wrestler Chris Benoit and Edge work, and they worked Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was fucking kicking ass and doing cool shit and being the Rey Mysterio that people like wanted in the WWE, the biggest little underdog in the company. And it was just like, and then you had guys like, he wasn't Hurricane yet. You had guys like Jamie Noble and Billy Kidman in the Cruiserweight division, and Nunzio, Nydia, who didn't get to wrestle as much as she should have because she was a skilled wrestler, but turned out to be a good character performer, so she got pigeonholed. Molly Holly would come in pretty soon when the women's division really needed some life, because the women's division unfortunately was at a bad time, but would get better before it got way worse again. It was SmackDown in the early 2000s after the invasion was like, as soon as they ended Billy and Chuck. Billy and Chuck is a turning point because things were getting really good, but there was still that like, who is right? There are still some people writing the show who should not be writing the show. And as soon as that dissolved and fizzled out, it just was like such a good time to watch wrestling, in my opinion. Lord Crashin says, that was Hulk Hogan under a mask? Yes. Mr. America was Hulk Hogan in a mask. He somehow passed a lie detector test, which of course he did. I know that was for jokes that he passed a lie detector test, but of course he did, because Hulk Hogan was a pathological liar. So of course he was able to, because he didn't think he was lying. He had no tells that he was lying. Anyway, I did want to talk about it. That was one of the 3 things I wanted to talk about tonight in the first hour. There are other things we can chat about, but that was one that I really did want to get to, because he did mean so much for the sport I really enjoy, the entertainment I really enjoy, which is professional wrestling. He did mean a lot. He is inarguably the most famous professional wrestler in the United States. You could make an argument for the world. I would still say that there are probably at least one, if not 2 wrestlers who, depending on where you are in the world, are more well known. Hello, welcome. But he was certainly well regarded and well known for many, many years and changed the business. Another brick. It says, I'm going to a local, I'm in Australia, pro wrestling show with friends tomorrow. Hell yeah. I hope you have a great time. I am not saying that you should watch a wrestling promotion simply because someone from Australia is in that wrestling promotion, but it is an opportunity to say, for everybody, that Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling is one of my favorite wrestling promotions because it is character-based. They work hard. They are skilled, wonderful professional wrestlers, but also there's comedy in it, and there's lucha, and it's got all kinds of different stuff, and very fun and entertaining. And one of the wrestlers in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling is a wrestler named Kira Summer. And Kira is from Australia. She moved to Japan to work in the animation industry, but her sister worked and trained her. So she got training and never debuted. But when she was in Japan, she happened upon some pro wrestling and was like, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this." And so she got training, and now Kira is in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, and she is the first non-Japanese woman to ever be trained for TJPW in their studio, in their dojo, I should say, which is very fucking cool. But that was just a thing. But enjoy your wrestling. You know, local wrestling can be really fun. It just can be a really good time. My aunts would say the Harts and Von Erichs were more important, although they tend to argue as they each liked the opposite family. I mean, look, Dirty, when it comes to the art of pro wrestling, I am not diminishing how important the Hart family is to the legacy of professional wrestling. I am not going to argue that. When it comes to the Von Erichs for Texas, like, there's the Von Erich family was so important for Texas wrestling. I am not denying that. But on a global audience and a national level, Hulk Hogan was the key for Vince McMahon to go national, to put wrestling in everybody's homes, whether they liked it or not. And like I said, Hulk was incredibly important for that. But it's just like, in Japan, I mean, like, it's probably Inoki. It's probably Inoki. Like, probably Antonio Inoki. Probably that. And in Mexico, Santos. Probably the great Santos. It's probably Santos. Probably. Probably. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably it. Lollipop Chainsaw is getting a sequel without Grasshopper, without Suda. So, and also their statement, for whatever reason, they apparently are courting the anti-DEI audience, which I don't know why you would need to say that, because do you think that having a creator or a studio who is made up of Japanese people is part of DEI, or like, I don't understand why that guy was saying that. Was he trying to say that the reason why they hadn't remade Lollipop Chainsaw is because of DEI? Like, I don't know why you bring that up. I don't know why you bring that up, but they did bring that up in their press release, which just felt weird. And there's also going to be an anime, which feels like, okay, yeah, I don't know. Look, was I super into Lollipop Chainsaw? Not really. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine video game, but I was not super into it. The fact that it's going to come back, okay. The fact that none of the creative minds behind the original have anything to do with this one, that's a little worrying. I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is. There's always somebody out there trying to make something. So good on them. Okay, so I did want to talk about Hogan. We did talk about Hogan. Let's see. I think she's raised over $1 million now. Hey, so we probably talk about this. The VTuber agency, VShojo, is done. They have announced that they are done. They're shutting down. I just don't want. Yes. So I do talk about Gunpla, but I talk about other things. So I'll just say that. I don't talk for 2 straight hours about only what I'm building and what I'm working on. I talk about a lot of other things. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about other stuff. In this case, we're going to talk about one of, if not the most famous VTubers in the world. Now is an independent VTuber. So now I would say probably Iron Mouse is, I would say, probably the most famous independent VTuber right now. It's certainly top 5. And that is a weird thing because they owe her a lot of money. They owed apparently everybody a lot of money because everyone but one of their talents left the company this week. This is a reminder, friends. Talk to your fellow employees at your work. Talk to them. You know, talk to them about check in. Unionize if you can, but certainly have conversations, because I have to wonder if everyone that worked if all of the talents that worked for this talent agency, because let's be real, that's what it is. It's a talent agency. It was run like a talent agency. It wasn't run like an idol group. That was the whole point of the group, is they're like, oh, you own your IP and you can do, you have your characters, you can take it with you when you're done and all that other stuff. Like, yeah, they were trying to be different from the Japanese style VTuber agencies, but really they were just being a talent agency with decent terms. But it's very clear mismanagement. The CEO came out and said, hey, we raised $11 million and we thought we would get another round of investments, which is, now, look, I have been part of startups before. I have been around startup culture plenty of times, watched companies come and go. You assume that you are not going to get more funding. You do all you can with the money you have, and you strike hard to continue to get funding. But you never assume that next big investment round is going to work out. So either you sell off the company, you're trying to raise investment opportunities for other people and try to sell it off because you want to move on to the next startup, or you close things down, or you figure out a way to stabilize that. If you can't turn a profit, because it's very difficult to do that, you can at least figure out ways to keep the machine running while you try to figure out a pivot or something like that. Apparently, they just didn't do that. And of course, there are accusations. There are going to be lawyers will be involved, all that stuff. I am not making, what's this? Based on what people involved in this situation have said, it seems like money that was supposed to go to the talent went to keeping the staff paid and keeping the business running when the money started to run out, which is fucked, because your talent is the only reason why you're still going. Like, the idea of not creating, so like, if you're unfamiliar, if you go and you check out HoloLive, you go check out a streamer on HoloLive, those are sometimes independent streamers that came in with a new gimmick, a new character, or they are people from the entertainment world, or they are people who have never streamed before in their lives, but they love VTubing, and so they've applied and auditioned and got in. But they are given help develop characters that are owned, and they presented. And part of it is, here are the new cool people that are doing HoloLive. Check them out. They are new and cool. And maybe their old audience figures out, oh wait, that's a person I liked when they were in independent, and they go and check them out. Maybe they make that connection. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't know, and they'll never know. They'll just go, the person I liked who used to sing funny and fun songs stopped doing it and shut down their YouTube channel. The end. And then they'll never know that person is now a VTuber and a successful VTuber. They just will never know. Or on the side of VSojo, they were bringing in independent VTubers, and they could bring in their independent gimmick and just work for the company. And that model is interesting, except it means they were not fans of VShojo. They were bringing in their own communities and maybe building new fans and growing with the opportunities to have like some money in their debut investment and all that. But for the most part, it was just a way for a company to bring in views, and hopefully it would trickle down. Like if you guest with, your community likes you, and then you guest with another person in VShojo, and then maybe they'll check out VShojo, the other people, and see what's going on there, which I'm sure worked for some instances, but really it was, like I said, just bringing your audience to a new thing, because nothing really changed. Still the same channel and all that. In that respect, you would assume that if you are signing with an agency and you created the character and you brought in the audience, that the agency would either have a low overhead with you, take a very small percentage, or they would take a good chunk of change, but you would benefit from being part of that agency. Things like paying for promotion, paying for character models. Oh, you want to do a concert? We'll help fund that concert, and we'll work on terms. Oh, you want to do a 3D model? We'll pay for that 3D model because we want more of our performers to have 3D models instead of the 2D. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do that. We're going to help you with this. We're going to help you with that. We can get a line on better graphics cards for all our people. We can do that. Stuff like that. It seems like VShojo was just like, we are happy to take a cut, and we have big plans and no money for those big plans. And then, like I said, money started running out. New money didn't come in. Well, the money that's coming in is all of the money that is coming in from the Twitch channels and merch sales and anything like that. Ad revenue, money that would come in for sponsorships and stuff like that, and partnerships and all that. And then people started not getting paid. And one of the things that happens when people don't get paid is, and this is unfortunately a thing that we see a lot in a lot of entertainment industries, is people ask about it, but they can only ask so much, because by the time you've been polite, it's too late. But in that window where you were polite, it compounded and compounded. And suddenly, they owe you a lot of money. And then it's like, well, if I put my foot down too hard, I might not get this money at all. I may never see this money. And you don't know that it's happening to other people. Because, like, let's say that you are Giga. You are Giga. She already left. This is a bad example, but that is someone I know from VShojo. She had already left. She saw the writing on the wall. From all appearances, it seems like a pretty smart cookie. She seems to know what's going on. But let's say that you're like, well, I'm pretty successful. I've got a following. I'm doing all right. They're messing with me. They're definitely not messing with Mouse, but they were messing with Iron Mouse. Their fucking meal ticket. For the woman who for a time was the person with the most subs on Twitch. Like, they were holding out on her. And then, of course, also holding out on the charity, which the CEO said that he was unaware had happened. He was unaware the money that was meant for that got reused for somewhere else. Because the thing is, like, that money, which was supposed to go to charity, if it didn't go to charity, was supposed to go to Iron Mouse. And again, complicated thing, I will say this. If you're ever going to be part of a charity event, you're with some people, you're doing a charity thing, just use Tiltify. You're going to do a stream or whatever, just use Tiltify. The promise of 50% of my subs or 50% of the money I make this month, that stuff is really nice, that's great, but it's complicated because it adds an extra step. And especially, if you're not directly control your money, which is a whole fucking other thing. But anyway, everybody from VShojo except one person apparently left this week. And turns out a lot of people weren't getting paid. There were accusations from some other people, former employees there, that they had a huge staff, and a lot of those people didn't seem to do anything. There was an anecdote about several people who were supposedly working on projects, who were in a Discord, like streaming their game footage to each other, like during work hours. People with salaries that were supposedly in an office doing work, which is like, hey, I love fucking around. Don't get me wrong. I love working on doing something fun on the company dime. It sounds great. But also a reminder that this is when people who were the streamers, the ones doing the work to keep the lights on, weren't getting paid. So, you know, it's fucked. A lot of it was fucked. And I hope those folks do well. The more than twice the amount that is owed to the charity, the Immune Deficiency Foundation, has been raised already. Iron Mouse was going to be doing another charity event with Sea-Dog, with Connor, and they haven't done the event yet, but they've already raised $1 million. Simply by people feeling like they wanted to do something nice if they could. But there has been a flurry of positivity among the shoujo people that left, the streamers that left, and also, I forgot to mention this part that was interesting. Apparently, they were going to bring in some other independent people, including Mint, who's definitely one of the most well-known independents right now, and a bunch of other people. They were going to bring in a whole new generation of talent, and they kept folks like, yeah, we're getting to it. Oh, we got to finish this. Oh, we got to do that. For like a year, they kept these people waiting around for like a whole year, stringing them along, because they definitely did not have the money to do that. But they were looking to, basically, as soon as they got more, probably as soon as they got more financing, the second round of investment, they would have then, been like, oh, this is part of our, year or project 2, part 2 or whatever. I'm sure that's what they thought they were going to do. But of course, they didn't do any of that shit. It's a mess. But there has been a lot of support from people out there, which is very cool. We love that. And yeah. I will leave the VTuber talk here for now. I'm sure there'll be more to say, but right now I'll leave this with one positive thing. For folks out there that are that know Nimi Nightmare, a VTuber, independent VTuber that appeared out of nowhere this year. Seemingly out of nowhere, this VTuber with a voice that sounds vaguely familiar. Perhaps someone that once built a world tree in Minecraft. Fauna's independent name, Nimi Nightmare. Nimi has announced that she's getting married. And not married in Minecraft. She's getting married in real life, and that's lovely. And that is it. One could make an assumption that one of the reasons that, the differences in direction that she had with Hololive perhaps could have been the fact that she was going to get married. Perhaps. In one of her last streams as Fauna, she was asked about her ideal wedding dress, and she had a lot to say about that. And now, with hindsight, we can all, who at the time were like, that's a fun question, can now look at that and go, aw, she got asked about it because that was a thing coming to happen in her life. And that's just lovely. It's nice. I don't know Nimi. I mean, I know Nimi from her performances as a VTuber, but I don't know her. But I can still be happy. We can still celebrate love because it's nice. It's nice when things like that happen. All right, so that's going to go on this piece, and that's going to go here. We are working on the waist. This kit's build order is bizarre. We started with the arms and the shoulders. Then we did the feet and the legs. Now we're doing the waist. And then after the waist, we'll do the chest. And then we're gonna do the cockpit, and then we're gonna do the head. And the very last step we do for this kit are the side skirts. It's just such a weird build order. It's a cool build order, but it's a weird one. Anyway, that's the VTuber talk. I guess I'm going to save all of, because we have to talk about Itch, and we will talk about Itch. I am going to save for Saturday stream, the next stream. We'll talk about all of the lots of small company layoffs this week. A bunch of, and some rumors got confirmed about some other layoffs. Really quick, Outer Worlds 2 is going to be $70, not $80. Which, like, okay, yeah, sure. But originally that was going to be an $80 game, and now now it's going to be $70. It's like, okay, I don't really have much to say about that, except that got announced this week, and that's interesting. My assumption is, because it was only like 2 months ago. Lashbrook, it could be pre-orders, or it could be that there have been internal arguments within the company, and then finally somebody won that argument that was looking to, that was fighting about those things. I don't know. Is this G8? Yeah, this is G8. Okay. Maybe there have been some arguments about this, and finally somebody got their way and got what they wanted, said and done. I don't know. Obviously. Obviously I don't know. But it's interesting. It's interesting that happened. Okay, so this has got to go like that. No, go in like that. Got it. That's a small little story. We can talk about that. We'll talk about this other story on Saturday. A little worrying investment. That's not great. Also this week, not only did a lot of people, almost all of the talent from Visojo leave, also this week, the only staff writer and all of the contract writers for Waypoint 2.0 left. After 2 articles written by Anna Valens were taken off of the website, off of Waypoint, that led to the editor-in-chief stepping down. Apparently, articles on that site were being written for $30, which is too low. That's unbelievably too low. Now, I understand. People got to feed themselves. People got to eat. Also, if you are trying to get into the business, you will take that bad money to build a resume. But there are other places that you can work at that will help you build a resume and help you become a better writer. Like, you could write for Paste. Paste does not pay that great. They pay all right. They don't pay that great. But you will work with editors, copy editors, people with experience. Unwinnable, another place you could start out in. You could also start a blog with a couple friends and then ask writers that you respect and admire, hey, do you have a consultation fee? Can I send you a couple articles and how much to read a couple articles and give me some feedback? Or do you have a mentor? Does your job allow for mentoring? You could do that work. Because the real thing, the sticking point here is the methodology for Savage Ventures is upload the article and then we'll have one of our editors take a look at it and make changes. And in this case, it was, these do not meet our standards. We are taking these articles down. Now, Should they have taken these articles down because they would not have stood up to potential lawsuits, because they did not have a lawyer look them over, because they were making perhaps inflammatory statements about garbage people, because those people are garbage, don't get me wrong. If you're writing about collective shout, I'm like on your side, not on their side, certainly. But it stands to reason that maybe these articles wouldn't have passed muster and maybe shouldn't have made the internet. But again, Savage Ventures, which is a terrible name, but that's how people roll. That's not their style. Their style is post it and then deal with it later. Now on this very stream, or the streaming channel here, I have talked about Dwayne Jenkins, who has quit Waypoint 2.0, about him when he came in and how he was like trying to be kind of rally the troops and be like, hey, like I am not trying to replace the memory of Waypoint, but I am using this opportunity, and I'm making the most of this and all this stuff. And I was like, this dude does not seem ready for prime time. He now admits he was not ready for prime time. Apparently 2 writers did stay with the site, but a bunch of them, looks like 5 of them have left, including Anna, of course. Jenkins said, following the resignation of them, he messaged his boss to resign, offering to stay on until the end of the month, and says that rather than receive a reply to the message, my boss gave me the green checkmark emoji and deactivated all 4 of our Slack profiles in one fell swoop. That was 3 other people. So basically he was like, hey, I'll stay on to the end of the month. And his boss just was like, yeah, that's fine. Like they expected it. Like my assumption being, because they pay so little, they never expect anyone to stay, because they're replaceable in the minds of that business. Lashbrook, yeah, I mean, the real thing is, right, like, his like, he was like, well, somebody needs to, they're going to hire someone to be the editor-in-chief of Waypoint, and I'll do a good job with it. Must have been his thinking. Like, I'll honor the legacy, and I'll try to do my best with what I've got. And I can't say that about everybody else, where in reality, it was just like, that was doomed. It was doomed. I know that, I'm looking at this article here from Riley over at Aftermath. I know Aftermath got some fucking flack for saying, like, Waypoint shouldn't have come back. We're bummed that people aren't getting work, but they shouldn't have been getting paid that little. They shouldn't have worked there if it's that little. And also, fuck this shit. Fuck all this shit. And I know they got some flack for that. And you may know Anna as someone who wrote about the harassment within the VTubing community, and how it looked like Savage Ventures did not like that article either. And did pull that article. And they wanted to pull an article that did a right-wing extremism VTuber doing political content and over how such political extremism could impact our standing with Google Discover. So that is Savage Ventures' worry more than anything. If you're like Pat, were they scared of backlash on the articles Anna wrote? In my opinion, no. They were scared of writing about having an article about topics that Google wouldn't like. That's it. They're too worried about their placement in Google, which is hilarious considering that Google is trying to make it so you don't leave Google and go to the website for the answers you want. But they're so worried about that. That's their business model, that they don't want to have articles that might upset Googling. Let's see. Yes, they're edited after publication. Some apparently some articles were edited beforehand, but most were edited after. And it just really seems like Dwayne was not ready to take that shit over. And according to, and you're like, Pat, $30, like that's not bad. That ain't bad. The previous Waypoint, the previous incarnation of Waypoint, paid people before taxes $300 for guest articles. So if you were a contributor writing a guest article, you would be paid $300, which I know from conversations with him, from his talking on podcasts, that was the thing that Austin had to pull teeth in order to get. Austin and Danielle and Patrick worked very hard to establish that the people that came in and freelanced for them got fucking some amount of money for the work they were doing. But yeah, if you were a freelancer for that version of Waypoint, you were making 10 times what people were making at this version of Waypoint, which is fucking criminal. Unbelievably criminal, ridiculous. And I don't think it's out of line to say that's not enough money, and it makes sense why some people were like, that you shouldn't agree to work for that little amount of money. Which is also my personal opinion on that. Years ago, I mean, I've said no to things. I will not name them because I have people that still work there. There is a magazine that I was pitching to for quite some time, and their rate was very good. And then they said, actually, we're changing our rate. And I stopped pitching to them. And every once in a while, somebody would reach out to me and go like, hey, we haven't got any pitches from you. And that person was not getting the message that I would. And at first I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that right now. And then they would check in with me. And eventually I was like, hey, did you go back to your previous rates? And then they did not reply to me anymore. They realized, oh, it's a money thing. It wasn't that I wasn't busy, but they were like, oh yeah, okay, well, we're not going to do that. Same thing when I used to pitch T-shirts for a certain company that would make silly T-shirts. Their pitch, the pitch money was good if they accepted it. But eventually they were limiting how many you could pitch and changing that. They just changed a bunch of stuff around, and suddenly it became very obvious that it wasn't going to be worth my time or energy to do it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, if you're not... There was another company, a website that doesn't exist anymore. They went from send pitches once a week to... pitch to write an outline of your comedic article and submit that to, and this makes me fucking furious, send articles and then we'll let you know if we put them in, and then you would invoice after. So basically, write a whole thing for free, send it to us, we might use it. And guess what? When they did that, they didn't reject anything. So you couldn't like recycle it, reuse it, put it in your packet for something else, do a live version of the sketch, whatever the article turned into a comedy monologue. Basically, it was just like, send us something, we might use it someday. And because they said we might use it someday, you couldn't be like, because if they rejected it, like if I pitched a comedic article about like Mario and Luigi's third brother, they got another brother, and I wrote an article about that, a comedy article about like a letter to the editor from Barrio, and Barrio has something to say, and they say, this is funny, we're not going to use it. Okay, then I can take that Barrio gag and do something else with it. But if I write this fun thing and they're like, great, thanks, we might use that someday, then they just have a stockpile. And I have to either keep looking at the website to find out if they actually used it or not, or take it on the word of someone I barely know that they're going to pay me someday for that they might use. Yes, Lashbrook, it was a ridiculous way to do things, which is why I stopped working with them until they went back to their old method, and then I just pitched ideas, and sometimes they would ask me for articles because they liked it. They liked the ideas that I pitched. I do think at some point I did pitch an idea that was similar to Barrio. It wasn't Barrio, but it was something like that. Also, I'm sure they got pitches like that. That is a bad example, but it's a rushed example. Pitching t-shirt ideas was my favorite dumb job because every once in a while I would just get $200, which is not enough when you think about how much money they made. But at 23, 24, when I'm starting to travel around the country for conventions, $200, when I submitted like that week, like 8 jokes and one of them turned into $200, that was pretty fucking good. Again, they made way more money off my ideas than I made because I didn't get percentages or anything like that. But like $200 for like don't mess with Tetris, and it's the map, it's the state of Tetris on a shirt made out of Tetris blocks, and it says don't mess with Tetris. That got me $200. That's pretty fucking good, right? That's pretty all right. That's a fun t-shirt. They got a cease and desist from the Tetris company. So it didn't make them, honestly, I think I might have, I don't know if they sold enough shirts before it got the cease and desist, so I might have done okay. This was in the days where people still thought they could make stuff with like Pokemon and Nintendo things. Nintendo, no, you can't. I made, that's my most popular shirt that I made for them. My second most popular was the Ghostbusters logo, but it was Gengar instead of the white ghost. And that that sold very well until the Pokemon company was like, get out of here. The funniest part of Don't Mess with Texas is I don't know if people know it was a slogan for a recycling campaign. No, Lashbrook, it is outgrown that by leaps and bounds. Anyway, if you're like, hey, Pat, why are you on this screen? You're not building right now. If you're new to the stream, hey, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for clicking on the category miniatures and models and checking me out. This is my opportunity for a couple minutes, just a few minutes, to directly talk to you about ways that you can support what I do here. Everything I'm about to talk about here is optional. You're under no obligation to do any of these things. But if you would like to, you're more than welcome to hang out here and, you know, help me out financially if you want. You don't have to, but you could. First and foremost, if you're currently a subscriber to the Baer Workshop, you can throw the Bear Cave, the Lego, the Scythe, the Tier 2 Blue emote in the chat. Being a subscriber is the easiest way to support what I do here through Cash Money or your Prime Gaming token. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link it with your Twitch account. You get the token you can use for anybody once a month. If you want to use it for me, that would be great. You could gift a sub. You can gift a sub into the community, and that would be cool. You join the gift sub leaderboard. Oh, that's a fun thing. You could also cheer. You could throw some bits at me and join Harold, H-Bomb, and friends on the cheer leaderboard. You could do that if you wanted to. These are all optional things you could do. There are other ways to support me financially. That's just the easiest way because you're already here on Twitch. You could, if you wanted to, join my Patreon at patreon.com/PatBaer. Over on Patreon, there's a $1, $3, $5, and $10 tier. There are different rewards for the different tiers. Consider joining me on Patreon. If you want, you could. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/PatBaer, where I upload videos. More on that in a little bit. You could subscribe for free. Please do. Please consider subscribing. And if you want to become a member over there for just $2 a month, you get my Wednesday videos on a Tuesday. So the video I put out yesterday, you would have already seen that on Tuesday for just $2 a month, which is nice. Those are all monthly ways to support me. If you would like to help me out just once in a while, I have a Ko-Fi and a PayPal, so you could directly donate like that. Everything I make through direct donations through YouTube, which includes AdSense, so watching my videos helps me out, through Patreon and through Twitch, all goes into a fund. And out of that fund, I buy model kits. I am building this kit right now that I'm working on, the Shining Gundam Master Grade, because of your generosity. Past you is helping future me. I have some stuff in my backlog to build. I also have some things that were sent to me by other people, and those get priority, because anything that's sent to me, if people spend their hard-earned money on a model kit for me to build, the least I can do is build it sooner rather than later. Anything that is purchased off, like, let's say, my Amazon wish list, jumps the queue, becomes the next thing I build. Also gets a dedicated video for my YouTube channel called a mailbag video. On my Amazon wish list right now, I've got model kits and Lego sets. I've got a fairly inexpensive, I would say, Magic the Gathering 500-piece jigsaw puzzle. If you want to see me build a third jigsaw puzzle this year, you could buy that and I'll build it. Lego sets, model kits, inexpensive kits, expensive kits, all kinds of things and things over on there. See if there's something there you'd like to see me put together. Knockoff Lego, there's a bunch of that stuff in there as well. And then, yeah, you send it to me, and then I put it together and build it on stream, and it's the next thing I work on. The G-Reco G-Self is a pretty good price right now. $32, it's pretty good. That kit has a bunch of extra stuff because it's got the perfect pack. I just noticed, sorry. I got distracted by my own wish list. My alternative to Amazon, because it's nice to have alternatives, is my Throne wish list. See if there's something there you'd like to pick up for me to build. And then the most convoluted way to support me financially is to buy a gift card at USA Gundam Store. You buy a gift card, they will send you an email with a gift card code. Then you can send me a whisper on Twitch, or a DM on Blue Sky, or Mastodon, or Twitter with that gift card code. Send me a private message on any of those, and then I will use that that gift card to buy something from USA Gundam Store. And that way you'll be supporting two small businesses, USA Gundam Store and me. It's pretty cool. If you want to support me or you can't do it financially, but you still want to support and hang out, I have a Discord, and we'd love to have you in the Discord. Join the Discord. It's cool. Nice people. I post build photos at the end of every stream. It's a cool place for cool folks. Come join me there. What else can I say? A couple video links for you to check out. This week I put up a new episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club, where I talk about 3 shows I wish I hadn't recommended. I normally, every anime season, talk about some of the shows that I'm watching early on, like 3 or 4 or 5 episodes in, and I'm like, hey, here's a show I really like, or I'm really interested in. And sometimes those shows don't work out. So I made a video with a couple examples of some of them that did not hit as much as I wish they had hit. And then over on Kuma Baer, which is my weekly anime recommendation series, every week I recommend a something with around a theme. Every month has a new theme. This month's theme is my favorite shows from the spring 2025 season. So I talked about Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quux, or G-Quarks, but I go with G-Quux. I talked about G-Quux and how it was a show that I keep thinking about. It wasn't my favorite show. I don't even want to say that it was like great, but it was good. And there was some stuff that lingers in my mind, and I was like really interested in it. I wish it had 24 episodes. I think if that show had 24 episodes and the first core was fun shenanigans with a scrappy Gundam team, mobile suit team, and then the second one was, wait, is this reality actually an alternate reality of the main timeline? Is this actually the real timeline, and the one we know is the real time, the Universal Century, is just a weird amalgamation of this? I think that would have worked better. There's a part where 2 characters come at odds despite being friends, and there was not enough of the show of them being friends, in my opinion, to justify the drama of them being on opposite sides. That's just my opinion. It's flawed, but I think there's something there, and you should watch it. You should watch my 1-minute video trying to convince you of that. All right. A couple things are going to happen right now. I am going to transition camera-wise back to the overhead camera so that we can continue working on this model kit. I'm going to drink some water because I need to do that. And then we're going to talk about some anime while I continue working on model kit. And we're going to do all of that right now. All right. So, in my ongoing effort to not only convince you to watch a show, but also to allow myself to think about what I'm thinking there, I'm going to talk about two anime that I have been watching this season. We are on episode 3 of both City, and we are on episode 3 of New Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt, the sequel series to Panty and Stocking. Both of these shows are comedies. Both of these shows are weird comedies. One of them is crass, and the other one is just surreal. Both of these are probably tough for me to describe effectively what's going on in them because they are weird comedies, but I am doing my best to, at the very least, entice you to check it out. In City, we finally go to college. We're looking at various characters that live in this city. We've met a bunch of high school kids. We've met some college kids. We've met some people that work in a restaurant. We've met people that work on a manga at a newspaper or a magazine that is basically Shonen Jump, but not really Shonen Jump. But this time we're introduced to a Mont Blanc University student named Nobuteru. I think we've seen Nobuteru before, but this is the first time we're getting a glimpse of what Nobuteru is about. And Nobuteru runs a troupe, an acting troupe, and apparently is having a rough time getting the actors on the same page. And it is revealed in comedic fashion, of course, that this troupe is made up of Nobuteru and only animals. It is an all-animal theater troupe. And they don't want to listen to him unless he bribes them with food, which he does to apparently success. Again, it's a weird show, but I really do dig the weirdness of it. So that happens. That's like our first little story. It is just like this show is like a series of little tiny mini stories, like little gags, because it's a gag manga. So we're just jumping from gag to gag to see where we end up. Okay, so this is gotta go like this. Sorry. I gotta figure out how this goes on. This goes on like that. Is that right? Oh, it goes in like that. And then this goes on over here. Got it. I'm figuring this out. I'm getting it. Maybe. All right. Let me see here. This lines up like this. This lines up with that. That doesn't line up right. Yeah, this goes like this. And then this goes like that. Okay, so that looks weird. Confused. I'm confused about this part of the model kit. Oh, there we go. That seems like that's right. That seems like that's right. Okay, so it's gotta go like this. Goes like this. Okay, this makes sense. This looks right. And then we just look for the back part here and line up the holes. And then you line up the holes and it would just go in. Where the holes are. Look at that. Okay. I don't know why that was so difficult for me, but it was. It was confusingly difficult. Sorry. Moving on again. All right. So that's what we learned. We jump over to the high school, and we find out that Wako, who we've met previously, Wako has a little sister named Riko, who is sleep deprived, and there is a bunch of close calls where she keeps finding like a bunch of This show is heavy on slapstick, so again, very difficult to describe. A bunch of close calls where she almost bumps into people or falls, which reminds her of her childhood with Wako, which we see a little bit of, and it's just the same shit. It's just her falling all over the place. It's pretty fun. Nagamo and Nikura purchase bread at a bakery, and only find out that one piece of bread is being sold there periodically and at a bunch of different prices, which is weird. So they go back to where they're staying. They do a little experimenting with each other in a weird little, I would call it a weird scene where they're like experimenting with some science stuff. That's fun. But the paper they're using is actually a treasure map, which was a weird thing to suddenly reveal. So they have a treasure map and they follow its trail. But after being really psyched about this adventure, again another deadpan end. Whoops, Jesus, that was very silly of me. Let me find the parts I need. Let's go. Here, and then this piece here. Great. That was all supposed to lock together really nice and clean, and then didn't. And I looked foolish. So basically it's the like, oh, we're on this treasure hunt. This is awesome. We're going to do all this cool stuff. We're going to make all this happen. We're very excited about our adventures. Wait, this treasure is meaningless. This treasure hunt was silly. That's the end. It's just kind of like not a non sequitur, but just a like deflating end of it. I have this piece on upside down. I have this piece on backwards, apparently. This piece is supposed to go like this. That would have been that would have been fine for me to get this together, but it would have been a bad reveal later that I had put that on wrong. So I'm glad I noticed it now. All right, so this goes on like this. This piece goes on here, so that could flap like that. This piece goes like this. And then this piece goes in here and locks in. And then this just line up like that. But this is not. All right, so that's in like that. There we go. I had to put a pressure I didn't like on this to get it together. But all this did eventually snap together. And now we can start working on the chest. But before we do that, we can panel line this whole thing here. We'll use the gray marker and just hit it. And then we'll continue to talk about this show City. Meanwhile, some characters from previous episode are talking about these are the characters that like one was going to move away but didn't, and it was just like a what if, and there was like almost a love confession, Matsuri and Eichen, and so they are apparently the ones that have deep conversations that then just become jokes, because this time they're talking about universal kindness. And so they do kind gestures to one another to practice universal kindness, but they are things that the other person doesn't really enjoy. And it is a silly little scene. I've really come to enjoy those characters because they are just a ridiculously philosophical high school students. It's a good bit. Very good bit. Then back at the high school, Riko, who is the character that we introduced this time, the sleep-deprived sister. She is saved a bunch of times by her classmates during a quiz because she keeps almost falling asleep, and so they are trying to keep her out of trouble. And the episode and the whole class is like amazed that this did not fall apart and nothing bad happened. But the teacher knows this stuff was going on and decides to promise that the next quiz is going to be even harder. Again, this might be a tough sell because I'm talking about plot in a comedy, in a slapstick comedy, but it's really well done, and it's very fun, and I'm really enjoying City. It's on Amazon Prime. I think you should check it out. Okay, so normally, Panty and Stocking is usually an A story and a B story. The first episode was all an A story, but the second episode was an A story, B story, like most of the first season years and years ago, so I thought this was going to be the case. In this case, we have an A story, a B story, and a C story, and the C story is fucking insane. If you do not know what happens in this, I will say a thing that might make you say, Pat, what? So we'll get to it when we get to it. Stocking is feeling very hurt because Panty, her angel sister, has been talking mess, and so she ends up pairing up with Scanty, who is one of the demons. If you're unaware, this is a show about bad angels and bad and good demons. Panty and Stocking are angels who have been kicked out of heaven, and they have to do more work in order to get back into it. Scanty and Nisak are the children of the devil, and they have to do some stuff in order to get back in good graces and get out of this world as well. And they're all trying to work together. Stocking teams up with Scanty to kill a ghost that has been pretending to be a samurai, the head of a samurai. Basically, they have to either kill ghosts or save ghosts. That's a whole thing. This is a ninja pretending to be a samurai, and it is a funny gag. It's not a bad gag. And of course, Scanty and Stocking don't really get along well at all, and so they're bickering and arguing, but they also make a pretty good team. And they defeat the ghost. And also, Scanty, feeling kind of inspired to be nice, is just like, hey, she's not doing a great job of it, but your sister really cares about you, and you could appreciate that, and then maybe it'll I guess kind of like, hey, she's just doing her best to try to support you. So they kind of make up, which is nice. In the B story, the sisters, all four sisters, become obsessed with a photo sharing app. And there's no easy way to say this. I should say this. This story plot line is not the weird one. That's the C plot. The B plot story is they are obsessed with a photo sharing app that causes orgasms if you get a lot of likes, which is kind of touching on some jokes from previous Panty and Stocking and a little bit new. The app eventually was, of course, created by a ghost who then can show up and tries to absorb all four of them because this ghost feeds on other people's validation, absorbs the validation, which is, of course, what the app is doing, is causing validation. So they're like, oh, hell yeah, give me some of that. And then also, not of course, it just turns out this way. They have too much desire for validation because this attack gets broadcast on television, which causes the likes to go up so much that our girls are too euphoric and overpower the ghost. And that is the end of the B plot for new Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt. And then there's time for the C plot. Really short. There are a bunch of blue people. They look like humans, but they're blue. And you look at them and you go, This is the cast of this is some of the cast of the Fast and Furious franchise. Why is this what? Turns out they are ghost sperm, and the heist that they are trying to do is to get from a used tissue and make their way inside of Panty. And that is the elaborate heist that the Fast and Furious crew are pulling off. And now I found out later, after the fact, that a couple characters in this, including the person playing the version of Dom, are the Japanese voice actors who do the Japanese dub of the Fast and Furious movies. So they got some... So if you know Japanese, it's extra weird and cool. The folks at Trigger just really love Fast and Furious, and I don't think they're wrong, but it is weird. And again, this was the C plot. This was the quick gag of like, oh, the Fast and Furious characters are in this universe, and they're going to pull off a heist. That's bonkers. Oh, the heist is involving their sperm, and that's what the heist is? Okay. I'm going to say something very weird right now. I think this is a very good return to form because Panty and Stocking is one of the most like of its time anime of the 2010s. It debuted in 2010. It is the most early T10s anime in its like bizarreness and weirdness and rudeness and and the fact that it was like unbelievably crass and vulgar, and like it wasn't trying to be anything but like a really weird show. And I do think that this is honoring it without trying to like it feels modern, especially in its animation style. But it doesn't feel like it's ashamed of the first show because it is a direct continuation of the first season. It's not called Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt 2. It is called New Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt. But it is not a reboot, and it is not a like reimagining. It is just a loving continuation of this show. And I think that's kind of neat. I think that's kind of great. I recommend checking it out. It's on Crunchyroll. I would say find out if this is something you want to watch. I don't know. You could fucking do so much worse this season alone than Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt season 2. But it is a sequel to the original. Like it feels like a goddamn sequel. They're not hiding it. They're not trying to be something they're not. For good or for bad. We've got some time left on the stream tonight to hang out and talk a little bit. I want to give you folks who are watching right now the opportunity to let me know what you're up to, what you're into. Are you watching any anime this season? You watching anything old, catching up on some stuff? You watching some TV? Did you go to the movies? Are you going this weekend? Did you watch last night, the opening night, go at 11:15 p.m. and watch the Final Four, the Fantastic Four? I said final instead of fantastic. Or are you going to go this weekend? What do you got going on? You reading anything? Listening to any music you want to tell me about? I love hearing from you folks about what you got going on Tuesday's stream, which is my stream where I don't do model kits and I do something else. Sorry, we just gotta. Okay, so these have to go back here like this. That makes sense. And then I need to put the G20 on here. On Tuesday's stream, I checked out for the first time Islanders New Shores, which is the sequel to the video game Islanders. It is basically a new version of Islanders with some other stuff. I did have a technical issue, which I think is probably my computer and not the game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think, all right, I gotta get, sorry, I gotta make sure that I'm doing this correctly here. I have to put a screw here into G14. This is the, if I remember correctly, this is the last screw. I am going to be basically popping the chest on here, even though we haven't finished building the chest. We're going to build the chest around the legs here. And I'm actually going to pop off the legs now, and I'll put them back on later. Do you want to come off? Okay, you do. Because it'll be easier to just put those on at the end. I got ahead of myself. Because that's going to go on there, and then another piece is going to lock it in. But I have to make sure that I am putting the right screw on here. Because there are extras, so I just have to make sure that's the case. But yeah, I had fun with it. I don't know if I'm going to stream Islanders New Shores again, but I enjoyed what I played of it, and I did put a little more time into it since then. I have a system for Nubby's Number Factory. I am waiting on some new stuff for that game because I think I haven't broken it, but I have a good way to win there in Nubby's Number Factory. I have been consistently using a strat that I think is, I don't want to say it's foolproof because that's hubris, but there is a method with Tony Jr. where you get gold right in the start. There are like 2 different items that if I can get them in the first gold run, then I will not have a problem getting enough gold. Like, there's a couple items that just give you so many bonus points early on that gives you a bunch of gold, which then, of course, lets you buy a bunch of stuff that you need. And then the rest of the game is just kind of not a problem. So I'm sure there's still going to be something that doesn't work right. But for right now, it's pretty golden. Okay, so this is going to have to go in here. And then we got to screw it from the back. Put this in this. I kind of wish I had 3 hands here, because let's get this snapped together, and then we'll do that's what we'll do. I think I can do this. I think I can get these pieces snapped together and then put the screw and the nut in and then tighten it up. I think this will work because there is a peg on here. So, okay, yes, this will come together enough that I can then put the screw in. And do it that way. I think this is going to work out. We'll find out. I don't think there's an easy way to do this, so we'll just do it the best we can. But yeah, and then of course I'm playing Hearthstone. I am trying out a deck that uses a card that is a 3-cost minion that has a death rattle. Give another minion on your board a random attribute and this death rattle. So you just build a board, and then you have a bunch of death rattles go off because you use ways to trigger those death rattles. And I don't think it's a good deck, but it is a card that nobody is fucking using. And that has been interesting because like nobody knows how to counter it. And so far people just keep killing that card. And like the way to win is to ignore the card, and people are not ignoring it. So like I said, I don't think it's a good deck that I'm kind of deck doctoring right now, but it's an interesting deck. But I'm also having really fun playing the decks I was already using. I've got a Warlock deck that wins turn 7 basically every time. If I get a little bit of luck, and I will just win on turn 7, and that is kind of wild to have that deck right now. And then yeah, I'm enjoying my time with Hearthstone. This weekend I'm going to watch a bunch of wrestling. I'm going to watch a promotion called Sendai Girls. They have a show that I would like to see from last weekend that involves Aja Kong, who is still actively a wrestler. Aja Kong is in a tag match with Venny, who is Venny is a phenomenal, wonderful wrestler who also happens to be one of the most successful trans wrestlers in Japan, the first one of the first trans wrestlers in Japan, and certainly the most successful. Veni used to go by the name Asuka, and of course can't go by that name anymore because it's too well known. So she goes by Veni, all capital letters, V-N-N-Y, V-E-N-Y, Veni. Veni fucking rules. She's so goddamn great. And she teamed with Aja Kong, and I can't wait to watch that match because it sounded great. And also the main event had one of my favorite tag teams, Hashimoto and Yu, the tag team of Team 200K kilograms. They are large and in charge, just Hoss Lady tag team. I'm very, very much looking forward to watching them. And that might be included on my stream on Tuesday, where I'm going to watch some wrestling matches that are all featuring Hosses, all strong wrestling ladies all together. That is the goal for the stream I'm doing next Tuesday. So the match I'm watching this weekend might end up in that show because it looks cool. Lord Crashin says, I saw Fantastic Four today and it was fun. Played some Iobic Factor on PS5, and that's a neat Half-Life style survival game. Okay. I'm glad you had fun at Fantastic Four. I will see that movie eventually. You know, I don't go to theaters these days, but I will see it at some point. So I'm glad you had a good time with it. And Lashmer says, I went to Fort Worth Tuesday and saw Ado in concert. Was definitely a bit weird to catch the vibe because I've never been to A, such a large show, oh nice, and B, a show where you're not really looking at the performers, and C, a show I was so out of place age-wise, but all that aside, it was an amazing show. Her vocal range is just unreal. Hell yeah. Look, Lashbrook, at some point in your life, you are the young person that likes music that old people like, and you feel weird at a concert with and you're like, oh man, do I have to wait on this? Am I too cool for my own good? And then you hit a point where you are the old person at the shows. And if you don't like that vibe, then don't do it anymore. But there are always going to be old people at the show. If you end up being that old person of the show, at least you know you're the old person of the show that is a good person. As opposed to some of the old people of the shows that might not be cool. You at least know you're cool. I don't know. I haven't been, I have not been to a show in a long time, but I will say, when I would go to see some bands, if I was going to see Anamanaguchi, when I was seeing Anamanaguchi, I was in my 30s and therefore probably the oldest person at the show. But they're a band I really liked, and I liked the people in the band, so I was going to go see the show. And it was just all right, that's what we're doing here. Time for me to go to the show and have a good time and stand in the back. I don't know. That is one of the things I will say that is nice about if you like the band for a long time, is that eventually that you're as old as the band, and so then that doesn't bother you so much because you've aged up, and maybe the audience is younger because they're predominantly a younger crowd that are going to the music shows. But if you're the same age as the band, they're fucking psyched. I'll say this. I can't speak for every artist in the world. Obviously, can't speak for every artist in the world. But the musicians that I have known that have grown up and their audience has kind of stayed in the same range over time really love it when some of the crowd is a little older, or a little closer in age to them. They do appreciate that. So that can be pretty all right. I'll say that, hey folks, if you're a fan of hip hop, if you will listen to some hip hop, we are living in a glorious summer of hip hop. The new Clips album is fucking fantastic. That's just goddamn phenomenal. Open Mike Eagle put out a new record that is poignant and has some fucking bangers on it and is very much a goddamn Open Mike Eagle album. And then fucking there's just an unbelievably good party album out right now. It's just like unbelievably good vibes party album. What the fuck did he call it? What is the album called? What is it, Off the Glass? Is that what it is? What's Tyler's? Tyler Creator put out a new album that is fucking awesome. I believe it's Hands Off the Glass. Is that the name of it? Hands Off the Glass? Is that it? Where is it? Sorry. I don't know why I can't remember the name of it. Don't Tap the Glass. Don't Tap the Glass is the new Tyler album. He made a fucking party record. He made a record, a hip-hop album that you should listen to in a variety of ways. Perhaps you should listen to it. These are some examples of ways you could listen to this album. You could listen to it in the car with your friends. You could listen to it at the club, on the way to the club. You could listen to it on a stoop, alone or with people, bopping along. You could listen to it at a party this summer. Or perhaps your town has a roller rink revival and you could bring it to the roller rink. Because I will also tell you that this is a fucking roller rink album. Holy shit. It's so fucking good. I apologize that I couldn't remember the name of it, but Don't Tap the Glass is awesome. It's just an awesome record. I'm really happy for Tyler that he took the challenge and put out a goddamn party record, and it's really good. It's really solid. But yeah, glorious 2 weeks for hip hop. Zeno says, I'm getting the hang of Islanders, the OG version, making some pretty big metropolis cities. Nice. Yeah, that's right. You were going to check out the first game. That's awesome. I hope you're having a real good time with it. Okay, so I got to put this on here. This has to go on here, but before I put this on, I need to figure out where D3 and D2 have to go on this. We're getting there. I think we're going to finish this kit during Saturday's stream. We have this to finish up, the chest here to finish up, which we will finish up tonight. Then there's the sides of the chest. There's the head. This is going to take a little while. We do have some stickers to put on here. Most of our stickers are on the head, so we have to do that. Then we have the runner to build, the core lander. We got to put the core lander together, and then we have the side skirts. And that's it, because this kit doesn't really have a lot of weapons. It's got 2 beam sabers that we could put on there, which I'm not really going to because I'd rather have these cool clear green, the clear green hands. And there's some water slides to put on. There are water slides that I could put on this kit if I wanted to. At the very least, I think there's one. I do want to put the Shuffle Alliance water slide on there. So at the very least, I'll be putting this one on. This water slide decal here. I think these are water slides. These could be just fancy stickers and not water slides, so I'm going to use Google Translate to read what this has to say. Marking sticker. Okay, so these are marking stickers. That means that these are they're not water slides. These are stickers. They're like square stickers that the outside of this shouldn't read too well, should blend in a bit. So we don't need water slides to do these, and we can apply that and some other stickers. And at the very least, I know I'm going to do that one sticker. This is the sticker that goes on the chest. And apparently, in some instances, not necessarily this remake, a reissue, I should say, but some of the original stickers, if this was actually from 2002, apparently this backing has kind of gotten dry, so we might have to use some liquid cement to keep it in place, but hopefully we won't have to do that. And hopefully this will just kind of hang out right there. Put that there. I'm going to put some pressure on it. And again, if I have to use liquid cement to get this to stay in place, that's not the end of the world. I ain't mad about that. But, you know, I'm hoping we don't have to worry about it. And then this is supposed to snap in. Try to use this here. Try to use the spudger. This piece likes to flail around, and I remember that from the original kit. I don't remember a lot about kits from, you know, 8 years ago, but I do remember this kit. This piece of this kit likes to pop off, so try to get it in place there. And then hopefully it will situate itself. And then I need D3 and 4, and then we'll get the chest done. We won't panel line this chest to we'll finish it, but we'll get this piece on by the end of it at least. We'll get it all connected together, and then on Saturday I will start with step 33. So this will probably be the last thing we do today. If anybody has anything else they've been working on, if you've been working on any model kits, you've been playing any games, you've been reading anything, watching any TV, let me know. I always like hearing from you about the things that you're up to and into. What happened there? Lord Crashington wants me to hit the dance button. If you're unfamiliar, if you're new here, basically you can use your channel points to activate some things, and one of those things you can activate is the dance button. In which case I will push a button and dance music will play, and I'll dance around in my chair as I try to figure out how to get this piece of plastic in. And so we'll do that right now. Thanks for using your channel points, Lord Crashington. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're building it. We're building it. We're building it. We're building it. And okay. I think I need to use the spudger for this. I'm going to use the spudger to kind of push this piece of plastic in place here. We're not going to force it because I don't want to break anything. We're just applying some pressure. Try to get this in where it's supposed to be. And that looks right because we got to get the guns here, our chest guns, our shoulder little guns here, our Vulcans. Get those in place so that these don't get loose when we put the chest together. Or if they're not in tight enough, then the chest might not come together right. Might not all snap together right. And that would be a shame. But yeah, I do think by the end of tomorrow's stream, or Saturday stream, I should say, not tomorrow. By the end of Saturday's stream, we will have finished this model kit, and then we will go back to the VDAR. The VDAR, which I started doing before I worked on this, because it's the anniversary stream. So I'm in the process of working on the Gundam VDAR, which is the newest kit. It was a kit from this year. But it is also another master grade. And this will be fun because we're going to be able to compare and contrast a 2002 design and a 2025 design master grade. That they're very different kits. Yes, this kit is a design from the late 90s. Yes, the 2025 kit is a design that has components that are from 2017. I get it. They're not one-to-one. Not the simplest comparison to make, but still. Late 90s, early 2000s design versus 2017 design with some new parts from 2025. Or maybe 2019. It was 2019. I don't remember, but yeah, I remember this piece being really annoying because it doesn't want to stay. Yeah, it just doesn't want to stay. Really frustrating. I can angle it like this. And then kind of pop it in like that. Yeah. I think I'm going to put a tiny amount of liquid cement on this end piece there to kind of like shove it in where I need to put it. Liquid cement, just for plastics like this, just a basically removes like a little layer of the plastic, and then it will dry almost instantly and then adhere it to whatever it's connected to, as long as that's also plastic. And it is a way to, so I'll use metal here. It's a way to adhere layers of plastic. It is what you use instead of glue for glue kits, for kits that you use just adhering plastic together. And so for stuff like this, it is not necessarily recommended, but for an emergency or for a loose piece of plastic, it is fine to do. And then we just... how does this go together? Yeah, all right. Goes like that. Oh, yes, okay. And then there's two pieces that go on, one piece that goes on either side, and that locks this piece in place. And then hopefully everything will be cool. And all of this will work. Yeah, all right. So we'll finish that step off on Saturday as we near the end of this kit. We'll be finishing it off, and then we'll start the VDAR, or we'll resume the VDAR build. We got a lot done here. I'm going to just attach the legs because I might as well. It'll look like we did more than we did snapping the legs on. It'll feel like we accomplished something here. We did, though. We did a whole leg, and we did most of the chest, so... and the waist. It's just that master grades are big kits, so sometimes it takes a while to do it. I guess we could also attach the arms, but I'll loosely attach the arms, I guess. You know what? I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to wait on that until I finish the chest before I put the arms on. But yeah, got a lot done here tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. If you stuck around during the raid and you were here the whole time, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. That is going to do it for tonight's stream, but we're not done here. Just like we got raided, we are going to go on a raid. We always end with a raid. We're going to go find someone doing cool stuff out there that we want to go spend a little time with. Another streamer that I think is cool and that you'll enjoy. Sometimes they're model kit builders. Sometimes they're just people doing stuff and having a good time. Let's see. How long is this person been streaming? Oh no, okay, they're probably close to being done, so I'm not going to raid them. My buddy P2 is playing Prey. That's an interesting choice. I like that P2 is just exploring games they never got around to playing from a while ago, and I think that's rad. But we're going to go hang out with P2 because P2 is online. I hope you had a great night tonight. I hope you will come back on Saturday for more model kit building and conversation. We're going to talk about a bunch of gaming news that we didn't have time for tonight because Hulk Hogan fucking died and Visojo imploded. So we had to talk about that. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Hope you come along on this raid, and I'll see you on the next stream. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, 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 good.